The Terran Republic was not a newcomer to the galactic scene. Rather, it was so isolated and insignificant to most other states and conflicts that it largely remained unnoticed. Attempts to establish diplomatic relations with neighboring star states failed early on for one reason or another, with some outright refusing to engage with humanity for unknown reasons or simply feeling that humanity had nothing to offer. Thus, the Terran Republic remained in its small corner of the galaxy, expanding and industrializing to become self-sufficient, as was necessary for a small, hermit republic. This need for autarky led the Terran government to embark on social, engineering, and political projects on a scale never before seen in human history. A fundamental transformation of human culture was necessary to ensure a high level of education and population growth required for rapid and efficient colonization of their local star group to coexist effectively. This required logistical feats so monumental that they made the colonization of Mars seem trivial by comparison. Maintaining the unity of these colonies and Terra itself, despite the distances, was essential to prevent any attempts at secession. Massive development projects were needed to make these colonies an integral and productive part of the expanding republic. The administration had to be significantly expanded and streamlined to effectively manage territories light years away from the solar system. Ultimately, the republic managed it. It stretched its boundaries to the edge of the neutral space available to it. It succeeded in creating a unified human culture that served as a link between its territories and developed these territories to become productive parts of the republic it needed. Compared to its neighbors, the Terran Republic was still quite small. Due to its isolation, few beyond a handful of geopolitical experts from neighboring countries had heard of it. The small patch of space the Terran Republic occupied became a highly developed and densely populated part of the galaxy. However, the states bordering it continued to refuse any contact with the Terrans. As humanity learned more about its galactic surroundings by listening to local communications, it was discovered that the area of space occupied by humanity served as a buffer zone between regional powers. The reason humanity could so easily colonize the area now home to the Terran Republic was that they did not want to provoke their rivals into war. Ironically, the rivals were somewhat pleased that humanity served as a buffer between them. The Terran Republic was a much more solid barrier than open space. However, this left the Republic in a perpetual state of isolation. They could not even know about events happening beyond their star sector. From what the Terran listening posts could overhear, it seemed that none of the nations wanted the Republic to become an ally of any rival outside their small area, to use the Terrans as a sort of dagger aimed at their backs. Thus, the Terrans remained a small, hermit republic, unknown to the vast majority of the galaxy's population and even its governments. However, everything changed with the invasion of the Rugari. The Rugari Empire was a major power in its region of space, seeking to expand its dominion and viewing the galactic area home to the Republic as ripe for conquest. Humanity first heard of the Rugari when they annexed the neighboring Astragon Concordat. People could tell the Astragons were at war due to the scale of their mobilization, but they did not know who they were fighting. After annexing the Astragons, the Rugari expected to swiftly move through open space into the Etarian Confederation. What they did not expect was to encounter a state whose existence they were unaware of. The Terran Republic was an armed camp prepared in case the regional Cold War turned hot and they found themselves caught in the crossfire. The Rugari and Terrans were nations that, just months before, were unaware of each other's existence. But the Rugari were not inclined to halt their campaign just to welcome what they considered a minor bump on their path to power. The Terrans saw the Rugari as no more than another great challenge to overcome. The first Rugari fleet entered the Tau Ceti system and was decimated by the second Terran fleet. The Terrans launched a campaign of strategic annihilation against the invading Rugari forces. Decapitating strikes by the Terran Intelligence Agency left much of the Rugari armed forces leaderless and in disarray. The destruction of key supply nodes meant that Rugari military personnel were left without supplies and starved at many front lines. The Rugari were utterly unprepared for the numerous and fresh forces humanity could muster. In the end, external forces called for a peaceful resolution, which both the Rugari and Terrans agreed to. The Rugari agreed because they could no longer sustain military action. The Terrans agreed because they had already gained the concessions they wanted from the Etarians and Astragons for their help in the war. This was also the first time humanity had made contact with the outer galaxy beyond their neighbors and the Rugari. The state calling for peace was the Humanitarian state, which, as far as the Terrans understood, was the most powerful in the galaxy. They invited them to meet on one of their flagship vessels, the battleship Resilience, to discuss the terms of peace, with humanity coming out on the side of it. The scene is set in the conference hall of Resilience. The Rugari delegation finally arrived, their scaly faces wearing a ceremonial air. The Rugari, a reptilian species, were strong compared to most known races, though not as formidable as the Humanitarians. "Please, take a seat," commanded Ilaria, and they complied. The furniture had to be lowered to accommodate the much shorter stature of the various species, forcing the 3 Humanitarians to stand during the peace negotiations. Shortly thereafter, 3 Terran delegates entered, clad in hermetic suits that concealed their features, though their posture and silhouette seemed oddly familiar to the Humanitarians. The Terrans merely gazed at the 3 Humanitarians, awe evident on their concealed faces. "You may remove your helmets if you wish, Terrans. The atmosphere here is suited for both Terran and Rugari physiology," stated Macinus. "Oh, thank you," one Terran said, reaching for his helmet and unclasping it, with the others following suit. The helmetless Terrans revealed faces all too familiar to the Humanitarians, who watched in shock. "So, where should we sit?" a Terran began, only to be interrupted by Alishan's outcry. "Is this some kind of sick joke?" Alishan was furious, his voice dripping with anger. What?" the Terran asked, a hint of fear in his voice. "Calm down, Alishan," ordered Ilaria. "But, calm down," Ilaria repeated, more firmly this time. Ilaria surveyed the Terran delegates and circled the table. The Rugari delegates watched anxiously as the 12-foot Titan in power armor approached. Ilaria stood over the Terrans, then knelt, examining them closely. "Macinus, could you call a doctor? I want these 3 examined," Ilaria requested. "Yes, Ilaria," Macinus replied, dialing the medic on his communicator. "May I ask why you're calling a doctor?" inquired one of the Terrans. "Just confirming what we already suspect, little one. No need to be afraid," Ilaria said, shifting from a professional tone to a more nurturing one. "No offense, ma'am, but we'd prefer not to be called little ones. It's demeaning," said the Terran. We'll see," Ilaria remarked. Soon, the Humanitarian medic arrived, clad in white armor with a symbol that the Terrans assumed denoted his profession. "Hello there, little ones. How did you find yourselves here?" the medic inquired. Well, we're a delegation sent by the Terran Republic to negotiate peace with the Rugari," one delegate explained. "Heh, sure, little one. May we take blood samples?" Ilaria requested. "Yes, of course, come here, little ones," the medic said, placing his medical kit on the floor and extracting what seemed to be a syringe. "Hey, wait, we never agreed to— Ow!" All 3 Terrans raised their hands, wrists up. The medic chided them. "What the hell? Why can't I lower my hand? What in the world is happening?" The Terrans screamed in surprise. The Rugari chuckled at seeing their foe in such a panic, but Alishan's glare silenced them. "Come now, little ones. Haven't your parents ever told you about psionics?" the doctor asked. "We've never seen or heard of psionics being real, sir. Please let go of my hand." "How peculiar," the doctor said. "Indeed peculiar," added Ilaria. The doctor tore open one Terran's suit at the wrist, which was outstretched. "All right, this might sting a bit," the Humanitarian medic warned, injecting the syringe. He repeated the procedure with the other 2 Terrans. The doctor released the Terrans from his psionic grip, and they immediately began rubbing their wrists. "The Republic will hear of this incident," one delegate warned. The doctor ignored them, pulling another instrument from his bag. He inserted one of the blood vials into a machine, which promptly displayed the analysis results. Oh no," the doctor said, as if uncovering a dreadful truth. "What is it?" one of the Terrans asked. "Oh, nothing, little one," the doctor replied. The Terrans groaned in response. The doctor checked the remaining vials, giving a disheartened response to each. He approached Ilaria, still kneeling, and signaled her to stand. He whispered something into the audio receptor of her power armor. Ilaria gasped. "All 3 of them?" Ilaria asked. "I'm afraid so," the doctor replied. "Now wait just a damn minute. What the hell are you hiding from us? You invite us here to discuss peace, and now you're taking our blood without consent. What the hell is going on?" demanded one of the Terrans. The giants in power armor looked down at the relatively small human. "If you would, could you also perform a reading on them? We need to know what we're dealing with," Ilaria requested the doctor. "I agree. All right, you 3, brace yourselves. The first reading always feels odd," the doctor told the Terrans. The Terrans clutched their heads in pain as a migraine set in, but it faded as quickly as it arrived. "Oh," the doctor said, shocked and incredulous. "What does O mean?" Ilaria asked. "Well, these 3 aren't lying. They truly are a delegation sent by the Terran Republic to negotiate peace with the Rugari," the doctor said. "It's just that the Terrans are merely children, afflicted with Zelixian disease." The other Humanitarians in the room gasped at the doctor's explanation. "If I'm guessing correctly, these are the descendants of those aboard the hospital ship we lost contact with millennia ago," This explains why they're unaware of psionics. They die too young to ever develop it. I think we should inform the families of the long deceased. They might still want custody of their descendants." The doctor turned to the Rugari delegates. "Congratulations, Rugari. You lost a war to children with a debilitating disease. It would be funny if it weren't so sad," the doctor declared. "What proof do you have of all this?" one of the Terrans said. Ilaria quickly unlocked her helmet and revealed a face much like a human's, except where eyes should be, there were glowing blue orbs. "What the hell?" said the Terran. "Do you think we can keep diplomatic relations normalized?" another Terran delegate asked. "No, the families of those long deceased have a right, under the laws of the humanitarian state, to the descendants of those who perished from Zelixian disease. It will be challenging to determine who has rights over whom, though we will eventually figure it out," Ilaria stated. "Damn," the Terrans muttered in unison. "Doctor, please take these little ones to the intensive care unit," Ilaria requested. "With pleasure, Ilaria," the doctor replied. "What about the negotiations?" one of the Rugari delegates inquired. Ilaria turned to them. "We will contact our government regarding the change in situation, and then, let's just say, our terms will be far less lenient than for the little ones." The Rugari swallowed nervously. All the achievements of the Terran Republic, all the remarkable feats of industry, organization, and military artistry, in the end, it was all just child's play. Humanitarian State Archive, Zelixian disease. Zelixian disease is characterized by its exclusive affliction of humanitarian children, causing muscle degeneration, gradual vision loss, mental disorders, premature development of reproductive organs, and early death. Those suffering from this disease, without proper treatment to cure it, will not be able to live even 200 years, even if placed in an intensive care unit. Before the development of a cure, Zelixian disease accounted for 98% of all humanitarian child deaths. The discovery of its cure was hailed as one of the most significant breakthroughs in humanitarian history. Humanitarian State Archive, the incident with the Elokan hospital ship. In the year GV87, the Elokan hospital ship, carrying over 1,000 humanitarian children suffering from Zelixian disease, disappeared. The parents of the missing children demanded efforts to search for the lost vessel, but each search party returned empty-handed. Revision BC 2187. It was discovered that the Elokan hospital ship had landed on a planet known to its current inhabitants as Earth and Terra. The children apparently survived the catastrophe and became the first in a long line of short-lived generations on this planet. At some point, a generation of descendants, calling themselves Terrans and humans, formed a planetary government which expanded to its local star clusters. The Republic was isolated and concealed by its neighbors in an attempt to preserve its neutrality. It served as a sort of buffer state between regional powers. During the aggressive Rugari War, the Terran Republic fought the advancing Rugari Empire when its army annexed the Republic's neighbor, the Astragon Concordat. The Terran Republic achieved a series of military victories that dealt a devastating blow to the Rugari Empire's ability to wage war in this part of the galaxy. The war revealed the existence of the Terran Republic, and during peace negotiations on the battleship Fortitude, humanitarian officials discovered who the Terrans truly were. The Terrans were sent to the Fortitude's intensive care unit. Their genetic history was analyzed, and it was discovered that they originated from several humanitarian families. Since then, they have agreed to a joint guardianship arrangement. The revelation of the Terrans as children suffering from Zelixian disease sparked strong anti-Rugari sentiments among the humanitarian population. Since then, the Rugari Empire has been under humanitarian occupation, and the fate of the Rugari people remains undetermined. The Terran Republic rejected all humanitarian offers for peaceful integration, stating, "Whoever your children were, they are long dead. We are now a nation and people of our own. Please leave us alone." This statement of non-compliance prompted Admiral Takoris Alaton to make a public statement. "Like all red humanitarians, it is our duty to retrieve our sick little children. They may not wish it, but for their well-being and for the families who have long lost their loved ones. It pains me to say this, but we will not negotiate with mentally deficient individuals." Since then, in the hope of making the territory capture as bloodless as possible, several fleets of ships with psionic specialists and system-disabling weapons were dispatched towards the Terran Republic. It was reported that the Terran Republic mobilized its military assets in defiance, although the Republic's victory in the upcoming conflict is considered unlikely. The Terran Republic's military, although regarded as one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful in the region after the victory over the Rugari, was characterized by one humanitarian general as nothing more than child's play.